The Redeemer has risen.
Hey, what's up guys, Massive here, come back to do another video commentary, and this is going to be my Christmas special video. As you can see, I'm all dressed up for the occasion and whatnot. I just want to wish you guys also a happy Christmas as well. Hope you've had a great day. Anyways, I'm going to do a special cast today. I originally intended to do a 2v2 first-person video, but you know, I couldn't get the time. And not only that, but I don't have the means at the moment to upload a very large file size video. So I thought I'd go ahead and do a cast of the most wubbed game of all time in Kane's Wrath's history. And it's going to be on 1.0. It's going to be between aX.Heckenhein and d.Apo11o. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into this game. d.Apo11o obviously is a known caster in the StarCraft scene, so this is back in the day when he was actually playing Kane's Wrath and Tiberium Wars. But anyways, up here in the top of Tournament Dust Bowl, we can see aX.Heckenhein playing as the pink GDI. And scrolling over to the bottom of Tournament Decision, we can see blue T-59. It's going to be d.Apo11o. And both sides going to open up with a surveyor slash outpost build. Very unusual. Of course, I'm not too familiar with how the meta worked in this patch, but I will say one thing. One advantage that goes to screen players when they go Foundry is that if your opponent spots the Foundry, you can deploy the Foundry, and within its deploying stage, you can actually sell the Foundry, unlike the GDI ones where you can't for some reason, which is kind of weird. A lot of people argue that's a bug. I personally do argue that a bug. I'd rather see some consistency in that regard, but very unusual outpost deployment here from aX.Heckenhein. Maybe he's got a War Factory build in mind or something, a timing push of some sort. He is against T-59, but as far as I know, Descents and their Fast Legs upgrade costs a little more in this version, or perhaps I'm wrong. I think that's 1.01 where the Descent Fast Legs was nerfed to $2,000 and took substantially longer to upgrade. Anyway, what do we have here? We have Scouts for aX.Heckenhein. He's got a barracks here, peculiarly, if that's even a word, going to keep that around. What is d.Apo11o doing right now? He's trying to set up a War Factory at the other field here. Kind of weird. I guess back in the day, no one really knew the definitive meta of the game. But yeah, I casted a few lesser skilled players last game, so obviously that's not a good representation of how the game was played in 1.0. But yeah, Harvest is coming out here. Seekers, do they have the same gun armor compared to now? Yeah, I'm presuming they did based on how much damage that rifle squad is doing. Seekers can get chased back by this Predator tank. 2 Harvesters only for d.Apo11o. He's got an expansion up here on the left side of the map. Could probably take this Engineer or Spike. He's going to kill this Engineer though. Wow, nice micro there from d.Apo11o. Going to stop that. Quick $750 bonus going to aX.Heckenhein. Heckenhein, he's going to get another refinery up right now. He doesn't have an expansion. His outpost, by the way, he's sold it off. He doesn't have ground control here anymore, because in Kane's Wrath, the War Factories no longer did provide ground control radius, as far as I know anyway. So I think that's one of the things they changed in Kane's Wrath compared to Tiberium Wars. But yeah, he's going to come into this expansion here. There's literally there's nothing here to deal with this. He's going to have to micro his Harvesters back. He's going to have to transfer them over to this field. He's going to lose his Harvesters though, meanwhile. He's trying to rally some Seekers over here. He's going to do some damage to these forces. He's got plentiful rifle squads here, all unfortunately taking tip exposure in the field. And what's Apollo doing right now? He's kept a Buzzer Hive round. He's managed to take this Spike. aX.Heckenhein has a Spike as well, so one apiece at the moment. And we have some Seekers in Heckenhein's base. He's going to try and kill some of these Harvesters here. Let's bring up the Hellfire, see how much damage he can do. Lightning Spike down here would be pretty good as well for that added damage. Reconstruction drones, as we've learned, also is very, very powerful with the Seeker push. But yeah, this game has been heated up since the very get-go. That's what I like about 1.0 games, is that the action starts from the really beginning of the game. Buzzer Storms pop out coming down. He's going to kill some of these infantry here. Harvester probably going to go down here. He's trying to micro it around the War Factory. Predator tanks, meanwhile, harassing d.Apo11o's expansion. He can probably get a portal down, a few panic portal disintegrators, deal with these Predator tanks. He's got a tier 2 down. He's losing his Harvesters. He's deciding to focus on the Photon Cannon. He should really focusing on his Harvesters. Seeker's going to chase these back. Predator tank is just a far better main battle tank, however. Seekers are regarded as lightly armored vehicles. They're not regarded as tanks. And Seekers did get cleaned up there, managed to kill one Harvester. Apollo has an economy over here. He's managed to retain his Harvesters, although this one's going to get picked off here. Microing it back right now. turn circles back then was a little more compared to now, so obviously it was a bit harder to retreat units because they had to drive around in a circle before they could change directions most of the time. Nowadays that's not the case. One argument for that change was that units feel more responsive, but yeah, you can actually make your units turn circle go away completely by right-clicking directly behind that unit you wish to turn. Anyway, lightning spike coming down here, as I mentioned. Should really be focused on this harvester. Disintegrators coming out, travel distance a little slower when upgraded compared to regular screen ones. As a Trello player is going for that portal, he could probably quickly get an engineer out to try and take out that spike from aX.Heckenhein. He's going to come across these proto-tanks here. No APCs to deal with these disintegrators. Fast legs not out of line just yet. Foundry does come down. He's probably floating a lot of money. That's why he's got that right now. Predator tank still coming out. He's got this APC. He would want to micro his hearts out with that APC because that's all his anti-infantry right now. He doesn't have any ground control radius at this war factory, as I mentioned before. Otherwise, he would have been throwing down watchtowers right now. Where's his MCV? MCV's over here. He's got a watchtower queue, but as you can see, he can't place it here. So what is Apollo doing right now? Pitbull's harassing the expansion route. This game has been non-stop the entire time, taking out more harvesters. Apollo has nothing here. He needs to get a portal out. He needs to be splitting his units up. aX.Heckenhein deciding to go all in for this base, take out Apollo's expansion. Apollo gonna meanwhile go up to the top of the map here. There's nothing to stop this. aX.Heckenhein, however, is informed about what's coming. He does have anti-infantry, which is really gonna be all that he really needs here because of that Seeker gun damage penalty that the Seekers do have. Anyways, Predator tanks in the back of Apollo's base gonna take out these Predator Seekers. Pitbull's gonna make a retreat over here. Disintegrator's getting taken out by the watchtowers. He's gonna try and do some damage on these harvesters, but I don't think it's gonna work. aX.Heckenhein gonna be left pretty much untouched here. GDI harvesters do have those chain guns on them as well for that added bonus against infantry. He's coming into this base. And how's Apollo going to deal with this? He hasn't had the opportunity to get fast legs this entire time. He's been mostly spamming out refineries on his expansion. He does have more eco over there, so if he loses this base, it's not the end of the world for him, considering how aX.Heckenhein only has this base up here. He's trying to deal with this army here. He's going to take out that refinery. And these Predator tanks will be forced back. Fast leg advanced articulators would be a good upgrade for d.Apollo in this game. He's got 3-4 harvesters here. He can probably sell one of those refineries off. They do consume a lot of power, those refineries, by the way. Rig coming out here, so yeah, again with those rigs, he's making shower tanks here, which is, I guess, somewhat of a soft counter to the disintegrators. You could also go in for the crush here, by the way. I was wrong all along. You could actually build around the war factory, so I guess that is that. Rigs, I learned, take a lot less rocket damage compared to cannon damage, so the synths are not going to be very good versus it, unless you have like a ton of disintegrators, of course. He's going for an airfield, but Storm Rider's already out in the field. Rigs do provide a moderate amount of anti-air, although it's kind of laughable amount of anti-air, to be honest. Pitbull's coming across these Storm Riders, going to take those out. Traveler Storms were actually $1,200 back then, compared to the Scrin Reaper ones, which were $1,500. So that's just another thing that made Trello OP so OP back in the day. He's going to take out this base here. How's Apollo going to deal with this? He needs to go for a tech. He needs to go for storm columns. He's going for those Storm Riders, though. But it looks like aX.Heckenhein is well informed of these. He's spamming out Pitbulls right now. He needs to go back to the aid of this rig here. He's got Pitbulls here. Is d.Apollo going to focus those Pitbulls down? No, he's going to go instead for the economy of aX.Heckenhein. Very good call, but he's going to come across all these infantry back here. Harvesters getting taken out by the Orcas. This game has been non-stop action since the very start. I love this game, man. It's so fun to watch. Harvesters getting taken out, and aX.Heckenhein needs to make a push here. He's moving out with a rig. He's going to deploy the rig over here. Remember, rigs did have a slightly slower deploy slash undeploy rate speed compared to now. Harvesters getting destroyed. Of course, he's trying to call to that expansion with refs because it made sense to back then, because harvesters were too expensive. I think they were $2,000 actually in the base game to train a harvester, or maybe that was 1.01. I'm not sure exactly, but yeah. Refineries and harvesters getting taken out here. He should be really taking out the more valuable structures, such as maybe the gravity stabilizers. But I reckon that d.Apollo really needs a tech center right now. There's just so much happening on this map right now. I just can't keep up. There's harvesters over here. In fact, Apollo doesn't have many harvesters right now. He has all of his harvesters here, but no harvesters, refineries to dock in. He's got these Storm Riders. Maybe a Storm Column instead of going back to base to those gravity stabilizers would be a good call to repair them. Plus, he'll get that Ion Storm buff from the Storm Column. Gravity stabilizers getting taken out. A few ranked up units there for a d.Apollo. Infantry standing on Tybrim up here. He's going for more refineries. aX.Heckenhein not out of this game just yet. In fact, he's in a commanding position of this game. And he's going to be expanding over to this side of the map. d.Apollo's in a lot of trouble. He doesn't have very many harvesters right now. He's going for Storm Riders. He's going to get some repairs for those right now. He still has managed to retain his spike right now, d.Apollo. And shadow attacks being produced here. He's got that rig still, so nice micro from this guy. He's d.Apollo trying to get a scout into the base. He can see that his opponent is well ahead of him in this game. He does have to deal with this refinery up in the expansion, and more than enough pit bulls now actually to deal with those Storm Riders. And I think one of the only outs here for d.Apollo would be to maybe go for that hexapod right now, but let's see what his next move is going to be. He's going to send out the Storm Riders. He really should have gone to the other side of the map, because that's where the eco is established for Heckenhein. He's going for infantry though, so nice mixed army composition here from Heckenhein. He's going to have a nice mix of units. He's going to not be too under siege from these orcas, because he does have those mass pitbull. It looks like he's kind of out of position here. He should really be pushing d.Apollo, because he has nothing really at his expansion. He's chasing Storm Riders, which is not a good thing. He's going to be dealing with those. 2 spikes have been reclaimed, by the way, from Heckenhein. He's going to promptly take that back. No fast legs, by the way. He's had the stasis chamber, so maybe he's got that just now. That's how he was able to reclaim that spike just so quickly. Lightning spike coming down, going to take out the engineer. And more of these harvesters getting taken out. His army is going to get slowed down. Tech out on the field for d.Apollo. He's got a line of photon cannons here. No real economy though for him. He's going for Mecha Bees. Mecha Bees were pretty overpowered back in the day. You have to remember those were really OP, especially versus GDI. I mean, you think nowadays that shadow attacks were the ideal counter to Mecha Bees, but back then shadow attacks had a lot less range compared to now, so they weren't exactly a counter. The Mecha Bees with their disintegrator segments could actually kite the shadow attacks back then, so your only option would be to go orcas, or probably double or triple MCV sonic emitter spam. Not sure if multi-MCV was part of the meta back then, but it would have made perfect sense to go multi-MCV, especially in a game that revolves around spamming out refineries. It is a little better in Tiberium Wars though, because the harvesters of GDI did have way more HP, so if you called refineries, you could actually use those harvesters to great effect, because they were massive meat shields and they could crush infantry and actually probably kill infantry much better than APCs, considering how they had no AP ammo in that patch. But yeah, he's just going to come into this base, he's going to walk into this base. There's nothing that a d.Apollo can do here, and I think that is going to be a good game. 3 Descent Mechapeds in the back of the base. He's way out of position though. He has to deal with these shower tanks, and if he gets in range of those, he's still in trouble. Pitbull's trying to take out this base. He maybe should have gone Mechapeds to begin with, considering how overpowered they were. Look at this range though of these Disintegrator segment Mechapeds. He's going to come in here, he's going to take out that Mechaped. Nice headshot though from Heckenhein. He's going to retreat right now. He needs to go for a tech. Maybe multi-MCV is going to secure his lead though, get more refineries out there. If he allows these Mechapeds to do way more damage than he is doing now, then of course it's not going to matter that he has all that economy. He needs an army to deal with this. He's only got 2 Mechapeds, no tech right now for d.Apollo. He does have a drone ship over here, so it's not over just yet. However, this field is almost gone. He's just spent a $1,500 support pound killing that engineer. Another portal or warp sphere coming out. He doesn't have a tech. Well, he still has his tech sensor, never mind. So maybe Mechapeds is the way to go. Maybe sell up, go all in Mechaped, try and take out this army. But it's going to be hard though right now. He's going to kill this harvester. And those harvesters had literally no HP, so coupled with the fact that the Mechapeds are overpowered, harvesters are way easier to kill back then. Rocket squad's here, and because he used those Buster Storms for power too preemptively, he's not going to have the best response in the world to deal with those missile squads. Maybe he could go for the upgrade for his missile squads, get the composite armor, but the army's just going to steamroll into this base here. And d.Apollo trying to get these Mechapeds out. He's got a harvester out on that refinery. He's probably could transfer these harvesters here. Losing these harvesters would be pretty catastrophic. Storm column coming down, and those harvesters are going to get suicided, unfortunately. He's trying to respond to this, but I don't think it's going to be enough, man. I think that's going to be GG. Because just aX.Heckenhein has so much economy. He has both of the fields established. Apollo does have one harvester on that field, but that's not very much economy, not nearly enough that he needs to win this game. And look at the damage though, these Mechapeds. I'm not surprised that they got nerfed. Can you imagine nowadays Mechapeds having this sort of DPS? They would actually be completely owning Black Hand every single game. If you thought that shard segments were really good versus Bike, imagine this, where they had that sick rate of fire. And of course cannon damage being a little better than the gun damage versus vehicles. But yeah, he's having difficulty dealing with this. He needs to probably transition into a Orcus transition. Okay, he's going for Orcus right now, probably going for a tech as well. A harvester taking damage on this side of the map. Mecha is going to get some repairs here. The reconstruction drones is a very good support power. Actually keeps you in the game, by the way, if you are down like to 1 or 2 buildings and you have a power plant and a war factory left. Just throw down the reconstruction drones. If you lose both those structures, those drones will actually keep you in the game. Though I haven't seen that ever be a thing ever, where someone managed to win a game by using the reconstruction drones power. But it'll be interesting to see that if that ever happens. But yeah, those buses really doing some work here. There's literally no ABCs, so he's going to be he's going to be having difficulty dealing with this. He's going to try and micro these here. He's focusing down the heads of these Mecha. One goes down, and more economy going down here for d.Apollo. The Tiberium is running dry. I'd imagine that Heckenhein is actually floating a fair few credits considering how much Tibi's harvested. He's only been dealing with the 3 Mecha this entire time. He's going Walkers. He's got triple Walker out. He can deal with those Mecha quite promptly considering how there is no anti-air capability of these Mecha. I guess that's one thing about Mecha is that it is very vulnerable to air if you just make strictly descent segment Mecha. But it doesn't take the way that they were pretty overpowered back then. More of these getting destroyed right now. I'd imagine a Sonic emitter is cube, but yeah, he's just losing all of his harvesters right now. And he's going to move into this base. The tech center will get taken out. Apollo probably going to go back to base. He's got a tech center, so we can expect a Sonic emitter to be dropped imminently here. And there you go. There's the shot that we were looking for. Mecha are as vulnerable as they were back then, as they are now versus those Sonic weapons. This is going to get taken out, and I imagine that Apollo's going to call the GG any moment. And where did it all go wrong for him? I mean, it was really good multi-sided attacks from Heckenhein. I think he can just outplay Apollo in this game. I reckon Apollo could have gone for the advanced articulate upgrade, maybe gone for some cultists as well, but I guess this was the early days of Kane's Wrath. These guys were probably playing as though it were Tiberium Wars. Interesting moves though, both going for the Surveyor builds. I'm not sure if that was actually a good move back then, considering how lightly armored those Surveyors are. I guess if that became part of the meta, people would just send rocket squads to places where you would expect to see an outpost to be. But usually in Tiberium Wars nowadays, people go for those emissaries or outposts if they are trying to expand to the expansion or the blue field on Tournament Arena. That's really one of the only instances where you see those be a thing. So yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this cast. It was a pretty decent game. Interested to see the economy graph here. d.Apollo was actually ahead throughout the majority of the game. I think he spammed way too many tier 1 units. Should have gone for a tech way sooner. Storm Riders were very good back then though, because they were $1,200, so it made sense to go Storms because they were just that good. A combination of Storm Riders plus Mecha P to descent segments definitely were pretty overpowered back then, considering how cheap the Storm Riders were and how good the descent segment of the Mecha was. But yeah, they still are vulnerable to the aircraft of Mecha despite that. But of course, if you combine them with the Storms, then that's no longer going to be a thing. But yeah, nice unit composition from Heckenhein. I could definitely tell that he was a good player back then. Nice move going for those rigs as well. He had a very balanced, nice army composition as well. Didn't go AP ammo, which could have been very punishing for him if d.Apollo decided to commit fully onto the disintegrators and cultists. But nevertheless, it's going to be GG, and well played to Heckenhein. This game was played 10 years ago, actually 11 years ago, almost. So yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed this game, and once again, I hope you had a Merry Christmas. This is Master Leaf. Peace out.